Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from sunny Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan.
Coming up on today's episode, well, we're going to talk... there's almost a theme, at least a couple of my stories and what we're going to be talking about.
okay.
It's freedom of speech. We're going back to that.
What should we allow people to say? What should Frank and I be allowed to
what
say?
What should we not allow people to say? Because that's really the gist of our story later on.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're going to be discussing it.
Yeah.
So all of you international listeners, it'll be an international discussion.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what people think outside the U.S. because we're kind of crazy free speechers in this country.
Yeah.
And there are other countries that have like our craziness of free speech, but then there are others, surprising places that have surprising limitations on free speech.
It'll be interesting to hear from you.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Now we need to talk about very pressing issues.
Oh yes. Yeah, indeed.
I've got one.
Do you?
Pastor in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Ooh.
No, he's not in Lincoln. Sorry.
No?
He's not a pastor.
Then tell me, Dan. Would you like to?
No, he is in Lincoln. He's not a pastor.
Oh.
He is in Lincoln. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He's what do you?
Okay. I can totally.
What's funny is that as I started it, I had the wrong link up on my computer.
Oh.
So I saw the word pastor and was like, pastor in Lincoln. Wait, something's not jiving. I'm seeing words that aren't supposed to be on this story. Anyway. A superintendent of a Christian school in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Possibly a pastor.
Possibly
a pastor of sorts.
Yes,
He tends a flock.
he does. We'll call him pastoral in nature,
Okay.
but not anymore.
He
has been fired.
Why?
This one hits close to home for me. He committed the sin of theater.
Oh, that is a sin.
It is. He appeared,
Especially in some people's hands.
indeed. And I'm guessing that maybe by my standards of theater, he might have deserved to be fired, but not from his job as a superintendent.
Just as a theater director?
As an actor.
Oh, he was an actor.
He was in the show. He appeared in the Mel Brooks comedy, the Producers. You remember the Producers?
Yeah.
So
Cute.
The Producers is one of those. It's one of those things that it's funny because it was a movie and then it was a musical and then it was a movie of the musical. But this one, this production was just a production of the musical. He played.
So this is the second incarnation of the Producers.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And it's a mildly offensive show. It's Mel Brooks, so like there's going to be stuff that could offend, but it's not an offensive show.
If it's Mel Brooks, I would say it's irreverent, which is probably the problem here.
It is irreverent, but I mean, the plot of the show is that it's about two Broadway producers who realize that they could make more money with a flop than they could with a hit,
right?
Just by getting all of these investors to invest in a show and have it close the day after it opens, and then they just get to keep all of the money.
But the trick is the show has to be so bad
that everybody
and so offensive
that it's universally hated and panned and blah blah blah.
Which is why there's the musical number, the famous musical number, "Springtime in Hitler."
Springtime for Hitler.
Springtime for Hitler.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany. It's a great song, and of course it ends up being a hit anyway. And they go broke because it was a hit instead of a flop.
Right, and they'd worked the numbers. Yes, okay,
right.
Gotcha.
So anyway, nothing like overly anti-churchy. There's a whole side plot about like how they get their investors, and they basically do it by screwing old ladies,
right,
for money to garner their favor.
Right. Okay.
It's basically prostitution. But I mean, is that so offensive that a guy loses his job over it?
In this day and age, what isn't prostitution?
Right. Well, not being superintendent of a Christian school, apparently.
What?
Yeah, it's a non-denominational Christian school, and I don't know. I just find that so weird that's what they fire him over.
There had to be something else. They already didn't like him.
Yeah,
there was he was not a popular superintendent.
They were looking for a reason.
Because you forgive Brother Randy, right?
Yeah, sure.
For that.
But this guy.
What was his name? Do you have his name?
It was Harold Scott.
Brother Harold. Yes.
Yeah.
You forgive him if you like him.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is funny that way. Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
if you like the person, you forgive him.
This guy could have done something way worse and been forgiven if he was well liked.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't have
he was already rocking some Christian boats.
He was already.
He really was
sketchy.
There was something going on.
I think you're right about that. Anyway, there you go. That's life in Lincoln.
Or the wrong person's wife played one of the old women who was screwed.
Yeah, or it was produced by some atheist theater or something.
No.
It was the Loft Theater near Manly, Nebraska.
Manly,
Nebraska. Which just sounds like a gay mecca to me. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's a gay show.
Who knows? All right. Well, I've got a story that takes us to the Vatican. Vatican City. Actually, it first takes us to Switzerland.
Yeah. Are there going to be people in funny clothes in this story?
There are going to be people in funny clothes. A member of the Swiss Guard, a former member of the Swiss Guard. The Swiss Guard famously wear the sort of ridiculous old
jester uniforms.
Jester uniforms is their military uniform, and they guard the Pope, the Vatican.
Yeah,
right. They are the Vatican's military.
Right. The clown guards of the Vatican.
And well, one of them who used to be a Swiss Guard, has reported to a Swiss newspaper that he received more than 20, quote, unambiguous sexual requests from members of the clergy. Many of them high-ranking.
Oh, God bless them.
Including a cardinal.
Yes, of course a cardinal.
A member of the Secretariat of State. As well as, I guess, kind of you name it. Up to 20.
Yeah.
And
the only reason he didn't get a request from the Pope is because the Pope doesn't request.
No.
The Pope demands.
So anyways, he's and the requests, these are some of the more salacious details.
Oh.
He one night, this is a quote, one night after midnight, I received a call on my mobile phone. The person on the other end said he was a cardinal, and he asked me to come to his room. Which, all on its own, maybe he just needed some help from...
Maybe Cardinal has fallen and he can't get up.
Military. He also, in another case, this fellow has reported that a priest invited him to dinner.
Oh, that's nice.
Saying that the guard himself would be the dessert.
Yes. Yes. And please and thank you.
And also there was, he once found a bottle of whiskey along with a calling card from an influential bishop that was left for him. And he said that he was fondled by clergy many times. These guys have graduated. When you go to the Vatican, you've graduated from altar boys.
Yeah, you're looking for the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You find the handsomest clown guard you can find.
who puts off some vibes.
Who puts off a vibe or two. You know what? This has been haunting that poor guard his whole life. He's mildly effeminate, always has been, straight as an arrow. But he's one of those guys. So he had to, he joined the guard because he wanted to be all tough and manly.
Yeah.
But even in guard school, he was like, yes, let's go for a run, everybody.
Oh, what a pretty uniform.
I bet I can do more push-ups than you. Serious. I'm so good at push-ups. Watch.
Yeah.
And yet, he thinks he's going to the safest place on earth for an effeminate straight guy. Mm-hmm. And he ends up just nonstop being harassed by the clergy.
Yep. Isn't that amazing?
I love it. I think that's delightful.
Delightful. There were some wonderful, some wonderful lines in here. What was it? So he was He was a Swiss. What's interesting is how vague the Swiss media can be, right, about who this person is.
Oh, really?
Making the allegations.
Yeah.
The Swiss are strange about privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the man's name is not mentioned anywhere in here, and details as to even like the specific years that he's there are not given. They don't want to risk. But he was there during the papacy of John Paul II.
Okay.
But that was a long time. That was from 1978 to 2005.
Yeah, that could be anything.
So, the guy he could still be fairly young, or he could be up in his 50s, or even potentially, like even older. And so, but anyways, I
just have to say, "You'll be the dessert" is the creepiest thing you could say.
Oh,
if you're not a priest. If you are a priest, you have gone to levels of creepy that are like that. You have a special submarine to get that deep into creepiness.
Well, the thing is, he reported this dude actually reported it to his superiors at one point, and because his Italian wasn't wonderful,
right,
they said, "Oh, you probably didn't understand." But I was like, he knows the word for dessert,
right?
He knows that you'll be dessert,
right?
He knows what that is,
and it's hard to misinterpret
a fondling
those bedroom eyes. Those priestly bedroom eyes.
Oh my God. No, thank you.
Father.
Keep it to yourself. Unless it's that Father Hottie who's on iTunes.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
He was.
Of course, most of the guys who make it there all the way to the Vatican, they're old.
Oh yeah. They're old.
These dudes are in their 60s and 70s, and they're like, "Hey, before I go and meet my maker, look, I still got some time to repent. I need you to come over here and give me some sugar."
These guys have already given up on that.
Yeah, that's true.
These guys have had so many.
They don't even believe in anything anymore. All they believe in is, I'm in the Vatican. We rule the world.
I'm in the position of power,
and this person are dressed as a clown.
Yeah,
come and shake your maracas.
You're in your 20s,
and you're
yummy. Military.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be. Yeah,
you get those diamond patterned pants over here, and let's see what we can do. Do they have pom poms on there somewhere?
Oh, they have they've got crazy marching band red hats that they wear.
Oh, it's not diamonds, it's stripes, of course.
It's stripes. It's gold, kind of a gold color.
It's like it's like a goldenrod, blue and red.
Yeah, but red is more of an accent color. It's really the golden blue stripes,
right,
with accents of red,
head to toe golden blue stripes.
Yeah,
like literally start at the shoulders and go all the way down to the feet with those stripes. Yeah, and silly plumes on their heads, and their helmets. Yeah, they actually have plate mail armor. Like they don't wear it all the time, but they actually have plate mail armor.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, they seriously. Actually, their uniforms would be considered a little much for a marching band.
Yeah,
they're so over the top.
Marching band would be like, "Oh, we can't wear that. People will ridicule
not even
us.
We can pull that off."
Right. Yeah. Oh, you want to top
marching bands worried about ridicule? I'm sorry.
You want to top it with a beret? No, we're not doing that. I just found a funny picture of Swiss Guard and like a My Little Pony going, "Ah!" Like, hooray! It's my people.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Hey, on our Facebook, I don't know if you saw this. Mackenzie was posting some stuff about a pastor named Ryan Bell, who decided that he was going to spend a year as an atheist. Or at least with the trappings of atheism.
What are the trappings of atheism?
So
what does he mean by that?
He was going to not go to church. He was going to not pray. When he had a problem or an issue, he was going to not consult the Bible about it. He was just going to sort of think it through on his own.
Yeah, but...
See, now you're having the same reaction. I don't know how he says his name. Damn it. I'm sure he'll be at the atheist convention here, and then I'll meet him. And
Just do your best, Dan.
Anyway, he had similar reaction to what you're having, which is like, you can't actually just put on the trappings of atheism and be an atheist.
So you're not praying. Well, you still want to pray.
Yeah. Like fair enough.
And
however,
you still believe that there's a God there.
However, I still think it's a noble experiment. I still think
noble.
Absolutely.
The word noble.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because he's actually he's going to immerse himself. He's going to read all of the. He's going to read Dawkins. He's going to read Hitchens. He's going to genuinely sort of immerse himself. And he says he's going to go to atheist meetups and whatever. I just think he's actually exploring this. He's actually doing a thing. He's challenging his own mind. Whatever conclusion he comes to, I don't give a shit. I think it's a cool thing that he's doing. I think people should try. And you know what? The truth is, yeah, he can't just be an atheist by trying this stuff on. However, I can't be a Christian by by going to church and stuff because I don't believe in it, and I just won't. But not I refuse to, but it's just not going to convince me. I've tried it. I've been to church plenty of times. It's not going to be convincing. But if I were to say, I want to see what it is, what the meaning of being a Christian is, even if I don't discover it all the way,
but he'll
learn stuff.
What is his sign-off prayer? Even to God,
see you in a year.
It's so this is what I'm doing, and so I'm not going to be praying for a year. I hope that's okay. I'm trying to what the I don't get it because the fact of the matter is what he's doing. If he's a believer, what he's doing is putting himself his soul into dire risk.
I think what he's doing is trusting that if there is such a thing, if there is a God, that God is a forgiving and loving God, and we'll see that he's just trying to understand his fellow human, and he's just trying to explore the reality of life.
What brand of Christianity is he?
That
might
I'm
help
not sure.
me, kind of, sort of, because if he's one of the more sort of relaxed types of Christian, then okay, I can kind of wrap my head around it. But when you say this Christian dude is doing this experiment, I'm thinking evangelical dude, and or Mormon. I just have a hard time figuring out how does somebody like that do that.
I get that.
But if he's already halfway there, then I kind of see it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have in front of me what his what mode of Christianity he is. I know that he was a pastor. I think he's from the South, but now he lives in California.
Oh, well.
But
that says everything.
I'm kind of shocked that people aren't more on board with this because because we're all about exploration. We're all about trying to look for truth.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point.
All he's doing. And even if what he's trying doesn't lead him to atheism, which by the way, I bet you money it does. I'll bet if he really gives this a go and he really tries to say, hey, let's just see what happens if I just try to solve the problems myself, if I just look at a cosmology that doesn't involve a creator. And he genuinely gives it that thought and lets it sink in, I bet he comes out an atheist. But even if he doesn't, I don't care because I think he's exploring and I think that he's looking at the world and I think that's what we need to all be doing.
Here's the deal, and I kind of hate this kind of statement coming out of my mouth, but if he ends up being atheist at the end of this whole thing, there's a suspicion that I have, and I know a lot of people would also have, that this was just an elaborate exit. This was just, you know what I mean? That he already harbors serious doubts.
Okay. Is that bad?
No, it's not bad, but I mean, it is bad in one way because it's it's not being honest about what it is. Well, he's presenting himself as this
I would present to you the possibility that he is being honest because he hasn't been able to wrap his mind around around the fact that he doesn't believe anymore. And this is his method of getting to that. It's an unconscious effort on his part to get himself to where he actually knows he belongs.
It kind of feels like somebody's saying they're bisexual a year before they're saying they're gay.
I don't begrudge them that. I think we need psychological stepping stones as people a lot of the time. I didn't. No, I did. That's not true. I totally did. In my journey from Mormon to atheist, there was an intermediary step where I said, okay, I'm still going to believe in God. I'm just abandoning Mormonism itself. And that didn't last too long, but I needed to go through the process to get there. Anyway, there's a new part to this story.
Okay.
And that is that he was fired from his jobs. He had 2 jobs, both of which were Christian-based.
Ooh.
One was that he was a, oh shoot, I had it pulled up and then I was looking for something else. He was a minister. Oh, Seventh-day Adventist is where his ministerial credentials are from.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems a little weird to me.
Okay.
But okay. All right. Okay.
He's working these jobs. He's fired from both of his jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The second he announces that he's going to do this experiment.
Wow.
So, Hemant Mehta, who was
HM,
who was critical of his initial launch. He on his blog, Friendly Atheist, said that he thought that you can't just try on atheism and blah, blah, blah. And I disagreed with his criticisms just because it's just like, well, what the fuck what's the point of that? Who cares if you can't actually believe something that you don't believe? He's trying on the trappings of it just to see what it's about. And I commend him for it. Anyway, regardless of that, once he was fired, Hemant did a really cool thing. He started a fund from atheists to say, hey, you know what? You're doing this journey. We think it's cool. We're going to give you some money. He tried to
offset the...
Right. He made a goal of $5,000.
Well, that's really nice.
Which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
Got 19,000.
Jesus. Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Dude can go be professionally atheist for a while.
Yeah. Huh. I want to be professionally atheist for a while. I can't afford it.
I know.
I mean, we do what we can.
We're
People do donate to us.
We're yes,
not a lot, but not $19,000.
No,
but I think that's awesome. I think that the fact is that at very least we're showing him, hey, we as a community, we're going to welcome you.
Yeah, okay.
You've been abandoned by
that is a nice development
by the charitable people,
and I support that as a development. Obviously, nobody wants to get fired, but it's nice that the atheists were able to jump in and help out.
Yeah,
I like that. I'm still conflicted though about his whole little. I mean, I'm not conflicted about 100%. Like, I had no problem with him doing trying it on for size, right? I don't have any problem with that. I have a problem with the whole experiment of and the way that it's sort of presented of I'm going to be atheist for a year. That presentation just doesn't set well with me.
Okay, so what if he eliminated that language and said, for 1 year, I'm going to not pray, not go to church. I won't read the Bible for inspiration. I won't trust in divine providence or hope in things unseen.
And it's a little wordy, but yeah, I would support it.
So you're just objecting to language at this point. You're just objecting to him saying, I'm going to be atheist for a year. Well, that's just a good title. That's just a good publicity title.
Sure. Maybe that's what I have an objection to.
I support him. I don't. That's fine.
All right.
Anyway, he's got the money. He can go and do it now.
Okay. Well, I am going to go to the story of Holly Handra, a Sikh woman who is who last year went to a go-kart park. One of these little. You get on the go-kart, a little racetrack
which is one of the lesser known parts of the Sikh religion. There's the little swords.
She was out having a good time. She went with a group of her friends, and they went to a go-kart park.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Why would you not do that? Okay. She wasn't an experienced go-karter.
No.
Nor were most of her friends. They just went to have a good time.
Sure.
Well, at a certain point, and I'm not quite sure how all of it happened, but her hair got caught
Oh no!
in the motor of the go-kart.
Oh Jesus!
Okay, so painful,
Yeah,
awful, right?
and it's probably really long.
And her hair's really long
Because
she
they're not
hasn't
allowed to
cut
cut
it
it.
since birth.
Right,
She's never cut her hair since birth.
right. Oh, the
Now, there's
split
nothing.
ends. The split
There's
ends.
nothing
Can you imagine?
wrong with her body. She's not hurt. It didn't hurt her, and she's calling for the workers at the go-kart place to call 911.
Yeah.
Instead, they cut her hair
Oh.
to free her
Oh dear.
because that's all that. In just sort of the tangible physical world that they're
Right.
looking at, that's all that needs to happen.
And
is
among
just
the
disentangle her, cut her hair.
among the non-Sikh people,
Mm-hmm.
which is everybody else in society, in our society,
Right.
that's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer.
You don't have
just
to think about that at all.
Well, now she is suing the go-kart facility
Well, okay.
for
I get
$50,000 in damages, as well as legal fees. And it caused her, she's saying that it caused Holly severe emotional distress because in cutting her hair, they destroyed one of her symbols of devotion to her religious faith.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
She'd never cut her hair.
I'm not buying it, and I'll tell you why.
What are you not buying? $50,000 isn't like
Yeah,
it's
but
a chunk of money, but it's not like she's going for millions.
yeah. Well,
It
it's not.
seems
It's not
she's-
like go-kart places have millions anyway.
well, she could own it. It's not done.
This is my go-kart place now. Here's what I'm not buying. A, if they had called 911 and the paramedics had got there and everybody had communicated perfectly and she had, and they had said, hey, we understand your religious problem. Let's just talk through it and see what's the best solution for you.
To probably
It would
disassemble
eventually
the motor.
It would eventually have come
disentangle
to,
as
we
much of
have
her
to cut
hair.
your hair. Eventually it would have gotten to, we have to cut your hair.
I bet what she really should have been asking for is a mechanic.
They
Take
couldn't have
this
done it.
thing apart
They couldn't have
while
done it.
I sit here, and we're going to save as much of my hair as we possibly can.
It still would have ended up getting cut. No matter what,
She
her
would have
hair
lost
ends up.
some hair, but there must be something about the amount of hair. It's also the fact that in the moment, against her wishes, she still saw options, and
Yeah.
against her wishes, they just cut her hair.
That is a problem. I don't understand how that happens. Like, someone swoops in with scissors, and before she has a chance to say anything, they're just cutting her hair.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they were
What I
trying
want
to
to know is
save
how
her.
did her hair, which I'm sure was up
Yeah.
and wrapped up,
How did that happen?
I want to know how the whole thing happened.
She wanted to feel it flowing in the breeze.
I doubt that was it.
She wanted, so as she's driving, she just like lets it all out.
I'm
Just-
pretty sure.
It's just sailing behind her. She's so happy.
12 feet behind her.
As she drives along. The other thing that I'm not buying here, the other thing that's not gelling with me in this is that yes, it is a symbol of her devotion to her blah blah blah, but it grows back. She didn't cut it. Her gods or whatever are not going to be angry about this. It's a symbol.
But
It's
you know that some people don't work on that level, Dan. Their world does not work on the symbolic and on the God is going to be forgiving and God's going to understand this. She had hair that she had never cut in her life. At the very ends, in her mind, are some baby hair, right?
Right. Which, of course, we know is not true.
We know
but-
that's not true. It's been breaking off over time.
Right.
Right.
and
But
falling out.
nonetheless, that is hair that she's had her entire life.
And she has psychological attachment to it. She has emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
I get all of that. And I get that. And I think that probably, I mean, the whoever it was that cut her hair it didn't even occur to them that there could be this significance to it.
No.
They just were desperate to free her because they wanted her safety.
Right.
And that, I think, the fact that she can't take that thought into account is a problem for me.
Yeah.
And also the fact, and but yeah, I mean, there should have probably been more discussion. There probably should have
There was probably a lot of chaos, let's face it.
Right. If this had been handled perfectly, the person probably would have gone up and said, I'm going to cut your hair now to free you. Is that okay?
Right.
And then she would have said, no, 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 no. And then they would have had this long, oh, no, my religion and blah, blah, blah. But you don't necessarily think that in the moment. You want to save someone from impending doom.
Right. And apparently all she was communicating was call 911, call 911. Which, again, you brought up the point, but what is 911 going to do?
Right. What is she thinking she'll get out of that?
I mean, she's not having a heart attack. She doesn't have a broken bone. Like, what are the paramedics going to do?
Yeah.
She's not bleeding profusely.
Indeed.
So anyways, I think it's an interesting thing to think about, though.
It's a problem.
Anyways.
Well, there you go. Don't cut a Sikh's hair.
Under any circumstances. Just let them sort the issue out on their own. Because who knows? Maybe there's some ceremony that you could do.
Ooh.
You know, like someone, I have no clue, but maybe there was a proper way for under, duress to be able to cut somebody's hair.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That was all skipped. That was just, yeah. They needed to call in.
Now she needs her $50,000.
A Sikh priest.
Which I do have a hard time with. I mean, I guess why do you ask for the $50,000?
I don't know.
Because
probably
there was no physical harm.
If she had gone to them, probably she would have gotten like several free rides on go-karts. Several. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Hey,
okay.
So there was a pastor in Texas named Pastor Robert Jeffress. I think we've met him before.
Yeah.
He just wrote a book. It's a book called Perfect Ending. And here's what's... Now, you and I spoke at length with a pastor in Texas.
Yes, in Waco.
Mr. Jeffress is from Dallas. He's a little bit bigger than Pastor Charles from what used to be the Branch Davidians.
Right.
And we had a long conversation with him.
His 50 clergy or congregation of 50,
right,
including
exactly.
internet
right
viewers.
Yeah, we were pretty skeptical of that number, and then he said the internet, and I was like, oh yeah, like
there's somebody tuning in,
somebody's subscribing. No, they just clicked subscribe and then never watched again. Anyway,
don't tell him that.
Anyway, Pastor Charles said in our long conversation that Obama was the Antichrist. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'd worked it all out.
Mathematically, he knew how everything connected with everything, and how the Jesuits were in cahoots with the Muslims, and how Obama was helping that and the thing and the this
and how David Koresh fit into all of it.
Exactly, David Koresh was part of the whole deal. I'm pretty sure at some point, it was.
Pastor Charles was clearly a part of it too.
Oh well, yeah.
He wouldn't actually say it. He was showing some humility that day, but it was clear that he was a big part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, he was going to be leading the only flock that mattered.
Yeah.
Once the
only 50 people.
Once the
on the entire face of the planet who get to survive the apocalypse,
the Catholic,
the go to heaven,
Muslim apocalypse. Yeah. Anyway, he So he pronounced Obama the Antichrist. Well, Pastor Jeffress begs to differ.
He's standing up for Obama?
Obama is not the Antichrist.
Oh, well, good for him.
He's merely paving the way for the Antichrist.
So not entirely off the hook.
No. He's not the Antichrist himself. He's just the Antichrist's precursor. And that's it's very clear. He said the quote from the
someone's got to be.
The quote from the publisher said, "For the first time in history, a president of our country has openly proposed altering one of society's, not to mention God's, most fundamental laws, that marriage should be between a man and a woman." And he says, while I am not suggesting that President Obama is the Antichrist, the fact that he was able to propose such a sweeping change to God's law and still win re-election by a comfortable margin illustrates how a future world leader will be able to oppose God's law without any repercussions. Which sounds pretty good to me. Oh, good. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, so that's finally happened. Good.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Pastor Jeffers. That's very reassuring.
We've reached that point.
I'm very pleased about this.
America's taking steps in the right direction. Excellent.
Oh, man. The way that these conservative Christians responded to Obama, he's so centrist. He's so not the left-wing nut job that they want him to be, that they just pretend like he is and move about their business.
Yeah, but he's he's not what they want, though. So they have to make him
bring a Swedish politician into the mix, or a French politician into our mix, just so that people can see what a liberal politician might actually look like. Just so that everybody goes, holy crap! What?
That's what left wing actually looks like.
And then Americans will go, oh, Obama's pretty cool then, I guess. And then all the left wing will go, man, Obama's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. And there are plenty who already say such things.
Indeed.
Oh, boy. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Obama, I was worried that he was the Antichrist, but
it's nice to know that he's
not.
not.
Yeah.
He's just a hidden Muslim terrorist operative.
When is he going to get around to
ruining
that,
God's law? Right?
Like when does the Manchurian Candidate actually
engage,
get turned on?
Somebody say the safe word or the trigger word.
At this point I just need it. I'm curious. I want to see it happen.
Yeah, I know.
What does he actually do?
He tried to close. He tried to close Gitmo, and then it didn't really happen. I thought he was just going to open the doors and release them all like doves into the world.
Little pea stuff. Running amok.
Little terrorist doves flying back out into their world.
All right. Well, I've got the wonderful story of some iPhone apps.
Ooh, I like apps. I'm going to download all of them.
Well, good luck.
Uh-oh.
Because they've all been banned
No.
by Apple from the App Store. And they are religious iPhone apps.
Oh, no.
That have been banned.
Oh, no.
They will not have them here.
Apple is the Antichrist.
Well, not quite. You'll see
what are the
banned.
apps?
So one of the apps that has been banned, the first one on my little list here, is one called Me So Holy.
Oh my
this,
God.
Allowed users...
Christ love you long time.
The Me So Holy allowed users to paste their face onto the bodies of religious figures, including nuns, priests, Jesus, etc.
That's fun.
It was kicked off in 2009 for, quote, containing objectionable content in violation of the company's developer agreement.
I'm sorry, but what you got on one hand, you got your priests, you got your nuns, you got your saints and Christs and whatnot. And on the other hand, you got your users' photos. Mm. Where's the objectionable material?
I don't know.
That's all very good material.
Another one on the list is Jew or Not Jew.
Oh, no.
Which allowed users to guess, I guess, which celebrities or religious figures were Jewish. So it's like a true-false.
Yeah, that's a little rough. That one's a little rough.
And the French anti-racism group SOS Racisme threatened to sue Apple on the grounds that French law prohibits the compilation of people's race and religious affiliation without their consent.
Oh, okay.
It's an interesting law.
We'll be talking about French law later.
Yep. So that one was pulled. This one is iSlam. iSlam. Slam. So little I, big S, L-A-M. So it looks like Islam.
Oh, yeah.
Islam. Islam Muhammad.
Oh, no.
Yes.
That one gets rejected based on the title.
Yeah, I know. But on Everybody Draw Muhammad Day in 2010, Apple removed the Islam Muhammad app, which encouraged users to, quote, enjoy violent and hateful passages from the Quran that support and encourage Muslims to attack and behead anyone who does not agree with them.
Okay.
However, interestingly enough, other apps that ridicule religious texts such as the Bible remain available for download. This is Islam. This is fear of Islam.
I say this app could still exist if they had just chosen a less incendiary name.
Maybe.
I say this app could have totally existed if it was just called Those Wacky Muslims.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows? I think it's.
I was worried. I was thinking it was going to be all about like images of Muhammad.
No,
just to fuck with them, because you're not allowed to do that. No imagery.
I was not aware that there was a day that was set aside as Everybody Draw Muhammad Day.
Yeah, that came about because of the whole Dutch cartoonist thing.
Sure.
Dutch, Danish. Yeah, the whole Danish cartoonist thing. That everybody was like, "Hey, we'll support this guy by continuing to draw Muhammad."
The fourth one on this little list is the Manhattan Declaration.
Okay.
Which is a Christian manifesto. So this was an app from them. But the Manhattan Declaration is a Christian manifesto that, quote, affirms the sanctity of human life and the dignity of marriage as a union of husband and wife. So Apple banned it because it was anti-gay and anti-choice.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Interesting. Now that's interesting.
That is interesting. This is the free speech show. Because I object to Apple banning some of these things. I just think that you need to be able to let everybody think their stupid thoughts.
But the thing that Apple does with their app market is they curate it.
That's true.
And if you curate it, then you need to have standards.
Yeah.
That are applicable across the board.
Applicable.
Apple. Yummy. And then there is the final one from Exodus International. I don't know what the app was called, which is an ex-gay Christian organization. And Apple shut that one down too.
They're ex-gay. They're exodusing from gay bars.
What they're using is the fact that Apple does not allow apps on that are offensive to large groups of people.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Which means could let them take down just about anything.
True. It means that if we ever did an app, we'd be in danger of running afoul of that.
Yeah.
Because I know you offend me all the time. So, well, I'm not a large group of people, but I feel like I could represent. I'm kidding.
What about me offends you, Dan?
Mostly
things I say.
Mostly just that you're taking up valuable airtime that I could be talking.
Clearly, that would be the problem.
Just kidding. All right. Well, there you go, Apple. Yeah. So I'm sure that you guys can all go onto the. If you jailbreak your phones, you can go and go onto Cydia or whatever it is, and get these apps on your phones.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead and do it.
Do it.
Well, if you have any apps that you'd like to tell us about, you can, dear listener, you can do so. Contacting us is super easy.
Yes,
We're out there. You can email us. You can just go podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Right.
You can message us there.
Sure.
You can follow us during the week.
You'll see all sorts of
always
stuff.
Posting stuff. It's fantastic.
Conversations occur.
All the time.
Caption contests.
Ooh.
All kinds of fun things.
Surveys.
Sure. You can even leave us a voicemail. You can even talk to us. And the number and the place to do that is 424-666-8442.
That is correct. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And during our break, we're going to listen to some.
It's a heartwarming story.
Heartwarming story. This is has to do with a miracle, involving Pat Robertson.
Indeed.
And the 700 Club, right? That's his show. Pat Robertson shows the 700 Club.
You won't hear Pat's voice.
No.
I was very disappointed about.
This was a report, though, right, that ran on the 700 Club?
Yes. Or on the network that does the 700
The
Club.
CBN?
Something like that.
Something, yeah. Okay.
In the spring of 2013, Darren Reitnar started having pain in his lower left jaw.
Pain was actually excruciating to the point I couldn't even open my mouth at times. Really, it was hard to even eat, sleep, talk, really anything. It just made life miserable.
Darren visited a dentist who said his only option was to have surgery on a wisdom tooth.
I did not want to do it whatsoever. I tried different prescription pills and things. It eased the pain, but it didn't cure it altogether.
In June of 2013, Darren was watching the 700 Club when Terry Mewson started praying.
He says, I really feel the Lord's telling me someone's being healed in their lower jaw.
Someone else, you have an infection in a wisdom tooth that's actually gone up into the bone in the jaw. God is completely healing that for you.
I didn't really even think of it at first, and I'm like, wait a minute, my jaw isn't hurting anymore, you know? That's when I realized that was for me. For me to have that, it was a very personal feel for me. It was like, you know, for someone like it was very far away down in Virginia to have that God telling them for me, you know, that was just an awesome experience.
Within days, all the pain left Darren's jaw.
I was blown away. I haven't had any problems with pain, not even so much as a twinkling of anything in it. It helps me, you know, knowing that God's there to heal. You know, I can tell others, and it just encourages them, no matter how small or how great. And, you know, no matter what you're going through, what you're struggling, He's there, and He's the great creator, the great healer, and He's there to help us.
Oh,
Thank God.
can I just tell you how uplifting it is when the drums come in on any like you know, spiritual produced piece?
Oh, yeah.
When the drums finally come in on that music, because the music's been all soft and it's been all like
Really
moody, but the drums come in, and that's when you know it's time to rejoice, everybody.
It always touches me really deeply. Moves me, actually.
I'm moved that he really didn't want oral surgery.
He wanted his wisdom.
I really don't want my wisdom teeth taken out. What the hell? Well, thank God for God.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have had to do what we've all done.
He apparently didn't have thousands of dollars of orthodontia.
Right.
And with parents going, you will have those teeth removed.
Yeah.
They are going to screw up those straight teeth that we paid, for.
Thousands of dollars. Dude, that dude's face is going to get so messed up when this infection comes back or whatever.
I know. It's not like it's going away for good.
No, God's gonna punish him for
The 700
something.
Club got in there with their cameras.
Right as he was
Just in this window of opportunity.
He didn't feel like he could actually explain to them that the pain had come back a little bit. He was just pretty pleased about the whole miracle thing.
Which is why he was talking with a little bit of an accent.
I mean, it came back, of course, but the fact that
God relieved it for a minute.
and
For
told
2 months,
and
I
told the
didn't
lady
hurt.
on TV about it so that she could. Boy, what an easy gig that is to be on TV and be like, "Hey, someone in our audience right now is being healed."
I know.
Hey, you know what, Frank?
Are you going to heal someone?
I'm
Dan?
healing somebody right now.
Oh.
Everybody, check yourselves, because right now there's one of you that's listening, has a knee thing that acts up when the weather gets a little weird. That's going to go away for like a month and a half.
That's awesome.
I'm curing you of that right now for a month and a half.
Well, I would like to talk to that listener out there that I feel has been listening but still has been harboring some belief. Yeah. It's starting to disappear.
Be healed.
It's happening right now.
Be healed of your belief.
This listener is no longer believing in God.
Oh, praise to us.
What a miracle.
Praise us.
Isn't that amazing?
And
Isn't that amazing, Dan? Somebody stopped believing in God while listening to our podcast.
Right in that moment.
Amazing.
And my heart was touched. And if your heart was touched too, you can donate to us.
Yeah. Wow, what a segue.
Which you could actually do.
You could do.
I'm taking a cue from these guys.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
do it.
go to thankgodimatheist.com. If we have cured you of your belief, you owe us a tithe. Go on to that.
Visa, MasterCard, American Express.
We'll take it all. Drain all of them. Max everything out. Or you can just, give us $25 or $5 a month.
Whatever you want.
Anyway, we got some emails. We got some voicemail. Why don't we play the voicemail first, and we'll hear from that because it segues into one of the emails that we got.
Oh, all right.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Ryan from Massachusetts. I just listened to your episode about pulling the plug, and I figured I might as well share my story and how it affected me as an atheist. My grandfather got diagnosed with lung cancer, and he was very healthy for his age. He was 82. And so, because of his good health, despite his age, they started a very aggressive radiation treatment that compromised his immune system. He ended up getting a really, really bad case of pneumonia, and he was on a breathing mask, like a full-on mask, and he hated wearing it. And he wore it just long enough for all 4 of his kids to come down and be with him in his final moments. And that was the decision he made, that as a Christian, he very, very strongly was ready to make his peace with God. And as an atheist, I was glad that he did it because I didn't want to see him suffering and I didn't want to see him hurting. So, and how it affected me was I knew that he had passed and that I'll keep my good memories with him and that I will keep everything that he taught me and I will live my life to the fullest to what he taught me. So, how it affected me and how I feel about pulling the plug, when you're dead, and it's time to move on. I really enjoyed the conversation you guys had about the ethics of it, the morality of it, religious or not. I mean, it's a hot-button issue that can affect a lot of people, and there really is no religious line. It's more of a personal line on where you stand on it. So I just wanted to share my story, and I wish you guys all the best and have a happy New Year.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for sharing that, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's a tough issue. What are you going to do? Rabbi Gruber, our friend Rabbi Gruber, has written in about the same issue and was quite poignant about it, I thought.
So you're reading that as sort of the response?
Yeah, or
just
on top of what Ryan said.
Let's hear Rabbi Gruber.
He talks about sort of what the ultra-Orthodox community says about it, and Orthodox rabbis have a real. The Orthodox community has a big thing about even if there's just a tiny flicker of brain happening, you can't.
Oh, really? Okay.
You can't euthanize. You can't allow them to die.
Okay.
He talked about the sort of ins and outs of Judaism, secular Jews versus Orthodoxy. But here's what I wanted to pull out, which was he shared his personal experience. He said, "I lost my mother when she was 45. I was 20. My grandfather 10 months later, and then my second child, born with a severe brain malformation, died when he was 8 months old. 5 years after that, I did find the ritual and regulation of the Orthodox life helpful. However, it created problems too. For instance, I had some guilt associated with not knowing if I went far enough in terms of resuscitating my son to satisfy the requirements of Jewish law. In terms of the spiritual aspects, of course, the idea of eternal life is very comforting, but you are forced to ask why God would cause/allow a child to be born and die like this." Which I think is exactly right. This is the problem with the Creator. Mm-hmm. He goes on to say, that is why being secular, however, is much more helpful in the long run, I believe. If your 8-month-old dies and there's no use resuscitating him, so be it. No guilt needed. The fact that a nice 45-year-old woman can die and a baby can be born with a brain malformation and die 8 months old sucks. But that is nature. No anger toward God needed. It eliminates the theodicy question. After all, even as an Orthodox Jew, you need to find meaning in what happened, and that is much easier as a secular person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, because this isn't about cosmology. This is about bodies don't always work.
Right.
Nature doesn't make perfect people.
Right.
Nature makes a bunch of fucked up people, and we all die, and some of us at times when we don't think we should have to deal with that.
Right. Yeah.
And if there's a God, then yeah, you've got the theodicy problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's an issue.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Rabbi Gruber, for writing in.
Thank you.
And
yeah.
thanks, Ryan.
I feel like Rabbi Gruber's what he said there very well was kind of summed up my sentiment that I was trying to express last time. So that's really nice.
Yep. He I like Rabbi Gruber. We should like chat with him at some point.
We do.
Come out to Salt Lake, Rabbi.
Yeah.
I don't remember where you live. We would come and visit you, but I don't even remember. I could look it up.
And that's all the effort we're putting into it.
That's all we got. That's all we got. Anyway, we got there was a comment posted on the blog that I wanted to bring up. Normally, just so that you listeners know, the best way, if you want us to discuss your question on the show, we won't guarantee that we will, but the best way to do that is to send in an email.
Yeah.
That's really
Or
the
leave a
venue.
voicemail.
Or leave a voicemail.
Right.
Those are the venues. But this guy left a comment, or girl, Ferg, left a comment on the
Fantastic.
on the blog, and I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's something that you and I would like to talk about.
Okay.
Ferg said, I had a real difficult time trying to follow what your friend was saying during podcast 111. Something about strong atheists who mock people and who take the Bible literally. And he or she says, these are the people who deserve to be mocked. It goes through a whole story about a conversation with a Christian. It says, like many, if not all Christians, he claims his morality comes from the Bible. So when confronted with the Bible's acceptance of slavery, he compares the slavery with a job or government or requiring one to get a license for a car or hunting. These ideas don't just deserve to be mocked. They need to be mocked and ridiculed. No sane person compares the owning of other humans with having a job or government licensing. It's not the first time I've heard this same drivel. It's not even the third time. And he goes on to talk about, people believing in Bigfoot and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the reason that I chose to talk about this is because I have a real problem with this notion of mockery as a tool. I think, I guess my question to Ferg is, what is it that you want to accomplish? Because it seems from the comment that Ferg wants to eliminate this line of thinking
by belittling it away.
But by belittling it away. Well, I got news for you, Ferg. Nobody. All you're going to do is set up an us against them dichotomy and cement them into their belief.
Yeah,
that's all you're accomplishing with ridicule.
Yeah,
mockery and ridicule
they don't work.
Has the opposite effect that you want it to. Now, some people have been, that's not always the case. Some people have been mocked and then later, much later, have gone on and gone, well, why do they mock me? And thought about it. But that requires a thoughtful person to begin with.
Far more thoughtful than most people.
Than most people tend to be. Yeah. In the end, you're much more likely to actually achieve what your ostensible goal is by taking a Bogosian approach.
Exactly.
By taking a loving, embracing approach of the person and just asking them good, non-confrontational, Aristotelian, they're confrontational, but but what you're not doing is mocking the person. What you're not doing is belittling, a non-belittling approach.
Well, because all you're doing is really just asking questions.
And just saying, hey, let's talk about how you got to this belief.
Of their belief. Yeah.
Let's talk about what the epistemology is here.
Yeah.
And not about the belief itself even. Let's just talk about how you got to it.
Yeah.
You're going to have so much more of an impact.
Yeah.
Belittling is... I'm going on the record right now saying that belittling and mockery, even though I participate in it sometimes,
Yeah.
It's never, ever going to... I think
confronting
to
the
a person
with the belittling language is not good. In the context of what we're doing here, where we bring up a story and it's ridiculous and we laugh about it and we make jokes about it,
right?
Totally different.
Totally different. But if you're talking directly to a person and you're mocking and belittling them, you're just being a dick.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. Yeah. You're not changing their mind. You're not helping society. You're not doing anything but being a jerk. And I'm opposed to it.
Well, there you go.
Ooh,
Dan.
Wow, that was a high soapbox. Let me just climb down off of that. Do you have a ladder? I'm just going to climb down a little bit there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but thank you for participating in the conversation, Ferg. I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jean-Marie wrote in, said she, I hope that's a she. Yeah, she.
Jean-Marie. I think Marie is a...
Yeah.
Woman's
a woman's name. Anyway, she mentions in episode 41 of our podcast, "Lo, those many moons ago."
Oh wow! Yeah.
Do you remember we had a girl wrote in asking? She was on her way to Morocco, and she was asking us if she should talk about the fact that she's an atheist.
Oh yeah,
and we told her we basically said, might want to keep mum. Just shut the hell up on that one. No point in risking whatever international incident might occur.
Right.
Or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
In part because we know nothing about the climate of Morocco.
Exactly. Better to be safe.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry.
Always better to err on the side of your own personal safety, at least in a foreign country.
Yeah. Yeah.
She said that she spent Jean-Marie said that she spent 5 months in Turkey and 2 months in Jordan, both Muslim countries.
Yes.
She says, I can understand the hesitation to express your non-belief in a country that is unbelievably religious. The ruling party in Turkey apparently is super religious, and the king of Jordan claims to be a descendant of Muhammad. At first, I was hesitant to express my non-belief. However, as I got more comfortable, I felt it was important to talk about. When I was in Turkey, I was at university, so most everyone was really liberal, and a lot of students were atheists, just like in America.
All right, cool.
That was a good outlet to talk about religion because I was surrounded by people who grew up Muslim, so I learned a lot. However, in Jordan, I was teaching girls ages 14 to 21 in one of the poorest and most conservative, funny how those two go hand in hand, she points out, neighborhoods in Amman. The girls were shocked for half a second that I didn't believe in God, but then were interested to know more. I think exposure is the most important part about being abroad. Not only for you to be exposed to different cultures, but also to interact with people and learn about each other's lives. So
interesting.
That's a nice and an interesting point. I still think you risked a lot by exposing your non-belief,
especially in the second scenario.
Yeah, you could have been fired for that kind of stuff. People get fired for shit like that here in the States,
or run out of town.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know Jordan and I don't know Turkey, but I will say that we do.
Jordan, my understanding is it's pretty
liberal,
tolerant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we do know that there are Muslim countries where you risk being executed.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably wouldn't do that to a foreign national, but they'd be more than happy to kick you right out of their country.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but nonetheless,
there she goes.
She's there. She's having those conversations. So I say, actually, kudos to you for taking the risk.
Sure,
you took the risk. You were the one there. You knew the situation best.
Right.
Far be it for me or for Dan here to actually.
We don't know.
Say
I'm just glad you're safe. That's all I care about. I'm just glad you're okay.
We were concerned for you, and
now we're fine.
Fortunately, you made it out.
She also wanted to point out she's from North Carolina, and she said she thinks it's funny that the way we generalize about the South, but she wanted to point out that everybody else in the world feels the same way about Utah. Well, doy, we know that,
and we've been to the South.
Oh yeah, all over. Not to North Carolina, but we've been all. We trust me. When we generalize about you backwoods hicks, we know what we're talking about. All right. Well, I think that's all the email we have time for. Let's
move right along.
Let's begin a conversation, shall we?
How do we want to begin our conversation?
Well, what do you get when you cross a pineapple and the Holocaust?
Oh, God. That sounds like the setup to a very bad joke.
It is a setup to a very bad joke, and it's not my bad joke. It is a comedian's bad joke in France.
Yeah. A guy by the name of, should I try this? Dieudonné?
Dieudonné.
Dieudonné.
I believe is how it's pronounced.
Why Dieu?
D-I-E-U. Like God.
Like Dieu.
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 Dieudonné.
Dieudonné. Dieudonné Mbala.
Mbala. It's a fun name to say. I will say that. Dieudonné Mbala.
Anytime you have a repeated sound in a name, it does make it a little bit more fun. But then Mbala, there's something really nice about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's the French comic of African descent.
I'm starting to wonder,
He was
though.
born in Africa, right?
I think so. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know where he was born. I will say this. Having researched him a little bit and seeing some of his stuff, I wonder if French comedian might be a bit of a contradiction in terms. Because
the French aren't funny?
He's just not funny.
Yeah.
He's got a huge following, and
let's be fair. The French do have a different sense of humor.
They do.
Even though it's not funny, they do have a different sense of humor. Even though they find it funny,
I think
while it's not, that's fine.
I will say this about the French.
As long as they're laughing.
The French have mastered dark comedy. Like if you watch a French film that's a dark comedy, they nail it.
Yeah.
But when
I find old French films delightful, actually, like old Godard films and whatnot. They're just a delight, and they can be very, very, very funny. This
gentleman's not funny. He does the pineapple's a Holocaust reference. Okay, so here's the deal. He started his career sort of. He was touring around. I'm going to give this story as I've sort of pieced it together. It's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. He was touring with a Jewish comedian, and they were doing this whole like all these anti-racism sets and stuff, and they had this whole thing, and then there was a falling out. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know if this falling out precipitated Dieudonné's move, shift in thought, but now he does this. His whole shtick has started to revolve around this anti-Jewish deal.
Yeah, well, it's definitely what he's become known for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and he goes far with it. Far.
Yeah.
To the point where now you're not allowed to do that in France.
No.
In France, they have laws about you can't say shit about the Holocaust.
Right.
That's not, true. Or that's not respectful of the survivors of the Holocaust, or those who died.
The Holocaust happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't claim that it didn't happen. What he claims is that it's. Why is that getting all the attention?
Right.
But he goes so fucking far. So he was fined €30,000 for
a chunk of money. What, about $40,000?
Yeah, at least. He was, this was a big deal. He was fined all this money. The next day, the day after he was fined all this money for rabble rousing, he put up a video on YouTube that, I mean, it's so funny. It looks like he looks like he's trying to be a like a head of state or something. He walks up to a podium,
right,
and he gives this whole speech about it, and then he breaks into song.
Mm-hmm. Should we play the song?
Yeah, let's play some of the song.
Would we like to hear a little bit of,
just so that you understand what the song is? The song is called Shoah.
Okay, so translate that.
Shoah meaning the Holocaust, and ananas meaning pineapples.
Yeah, so it's the pineapple Holocaust is kind of how it's being translated into English.
Not that makes any more sense than any other translation of that.
Well, at least it explains.
He's just mashing the word Holocaust or the word Shoah with pineapple.
Show ananas. Show ananas. Il ne faut pas oublier, y'a moyen d'amplifier. Show ananas. Allez, on bouge les culs. Oh, ananas. Jackie maintenant. Allez, Jackie, chorégraphie. Il n'y a pas à oublier avec le temps oublié. Chaud ananas. Chaud ananas.
I think we can leave it at
yeah.
that. Don't
And
you
then,
think?
yeah, he's invited Jacques to come out,
Yes.
right? And to it's a fellow in a sort of very well, what he's wearing isn't all that important. What is important is that he does have a yellow Star of David.
A very large yellow Star of David, and he's shaking 2 pineapples like maracas.
Yes,
And he's white.
Yeah,
He's a white guy. I don't know if that's important or not. It feels like everything's important in this story. Like we can't miss details because it's just like so crazy.
Yeah,
This guy has gone full anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And
he's mocking the whole thing.
Well, and the thing is,
He's
but he's saying these lyrics that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like the first lyric translates to basically like he says.
Well, the first
it's
thing
like,
that is coherent
something
after
about
show on in us is we really must not forget there's a way to make money.
right, which I guess is a reference to his fine. But I mean, there's not. This is not a clever song. Suffice it to say, there's nothing actually clever going on. He didn't bother to sit down and write a song.
Right.
He just wanted to sing.
It's just goofy. He's being goofy.
Holocaust pineapples.
It's offensive, but it's
and he
goofy.
turns around and he wiggles his butt at the camera.
Yeah,
and that's about where he goes.
There's something though that I'm going to just step back and say there must be something in sort of the French sense of humor that is lost on me at this moment, right? That he is performing this song. This is not the first time that he's like sung this song. Right?
No,
like
this is the first moment.
This is the first moment.
This is where he introduces Show Ananas to the world.
So, and then
now he sings it on stage.
His followers or his fans, I guess you should say, show up to his shows with pineapples
in hand,
and this is the thing. This is what they absolutely love,
and it gets alarming because he also has this hand gesture that he has introduced to his fandom that is basically like it's one arm downward stretched. Basically, imagine Hitler's Nazi salute, and then just move the arm down so it's pointing at the floor instead of the sky.
Right. So instead of it being at say 2:00, it's down at like
4:30.
4:30. Yeah.
Or something. It's what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So okay. So here's where our discussion really begins.
Yeah.
The French government has been banning this guy left and right.
Right.
Even the president of France, François Hollande, has encouraged a ban, has come out in favor of a ban. A ban was upheld and then was struck down by a judge, and then an emergency thing was convened and a higher judge reinstated the ban.
Right.
It sounds like Utah's gay marriage thing. But what we decided was that we needed to talk about free speech.
Yeah.
And what we think needs to happen here. And what how this matters.
Europe has its history. France has its history. They've been trying to deal with this whole like anti-Semitism thing since World War II by creating laws that limit what people can say about Jewish people and the Holocaust and so forth and so on. Holocaust denial is illegal. That is considered to be some kind of, it might be the equivalent of sort of hate speech.
Right.
And it's considered so inflammatory in their society that it has to be just forbidden.
Right.
But what I get the sense of is that watching this and seeing sort of and reading a little bit about his fans and their reaction. Now, of course, there is anti-Semitism that has been percolating in France. They have a large Muslim community of immigrants that have come into the country.
Yeah.
I don't want to overly generalize about Muslims, but there's not a lot of love of Jews. in Islam, and they have sort of this French right-wing ultra-conservative stuff that's also a little anti-Semitic,
right?
And so that's there. That's been
that's
there.
all bubbling, but it's
been limited by law.
And of course there's social limitations to it too. I mean, it's not well accepted.
But
in
here,
society.
this guy comes walking out, and we see that the social limitations
start to melt away.
Well, he feels comfortable enough that
Right.
he has a large enough of a fan base,
Right.
and people who feel the same. That in a sense, he's tapping into all of that suppressed sentiment that people cannot say
Right.
by law. And now he's become their voice.
Yeah.
And that and that's sort of the situation that has come because of the laws that they have in place. So now supporting this guy is actually a statement about free speech.
Right, which is a big problem because now people are thinking, well, I'm all for free speech, and they're getting it confused with free speech about hating somebody else.
Yeah, which is not exactly
That's
the way
not
you
what
use your free speech.
Right, yeah. One French official said that peddlers of hate stop at nothing and show boundless creativity. Faced with this creativity of hate, should we do nothing? Certainly not. The status quo is not a solution. This is his justification for the laws, for making it against the law, and for banning him.
I guess I just don't understand. Well, I mean, to me, it seems that by creating these limits, they don't have any experience as a society dealing with anti-Semitic speech.
Right. So what,
right? Like
the judge said that banned him said that his show was deemed to present a threat to public order. Now that's interesting, but it leaves us with this problem of we're not having the public conversation.
Right.
And I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, that because people have not been able to have small releases of these sentiments and then be faced with the actual social consequence of those little releases. That it hasn't been properly pushed down from a societal perspective. Like my fear, or when I think of myself as a functioning member of society,
indeed,
I am much more controlled by the idea of being socially accepted versus the idea of, am I doing something legal or illegal?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's much more like, if I know that I'm actually risking my
being
widespread,
ostracized.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm risking that, then that's totally different. If I'm risking my career as a comedian,
right.
Well,
that's why this put me in mind of Michael Richards.
Yeah.
In our country, Michael Richards, who played Kramer on Seinfeld. You guys will remember. Most of you probably will remember that he had a stand-up gig long after Seinfeld had stopped,
had ended,
and he went a little off the rails.
Yeah. So somebody is heckling him. A guy out in the audience,
a black man,
was heckling him,
and
the fact that he's black would have been completely irrelevant,
but it's not.
Unfortunately, Michael Richards took it to a place, and the reason that I think it is important to play this is because I knew that incident. I didn't know how serious it was until I actually looked it up and watched it.
Yeah.
Shut up! 50 years ago, they had you upside down with a fucking fork up your ass. You can talk your brain now, motherfucker. Rolls out. He's a nigger.
Oh my God.
A nigger, look, there's a nigger. Ooh. All right, you see? It shocks you to see what's buried beneath your stupid motherfuckers. What was it called for? It's not called for you to on my ass, you cheap motherfucker.
I think we can stop it there.
Okay.
Because I think we need to get into
here's
the fact that
There's a lot to unpack there. We're not going to talk about the whole.
We're not going to.
All of the issues there.
And it's disturbing. It's alarming.
It is.
It's actually alarming to me that he, for whatever reason, went off the rails this way.
And that's where he went.
Right.
Like, I understand going off the rails because you were being heckled and it's your show, and this guy was probably way out of line. I'm guessing this guy was way out of line in his yelling.
A heckler is out of line.
Right. And this guy seemed to be
especially with a comic that's not their thing.
Right.
Right.
So but I mean the fact that the problem was that where that took Michael Richards' mind.
Right.
However,
yeah,
there are no laws in the United States that say you can't stand on a stage and use that language that he just used.
Which is in our country, that word, the N-word, is it's about as bad as it gets.
It's about as bad as it gets. The other thing is that he said, and the thing that was glossed over in almost all of the media stuff, was that the first thing he said was, 50 years ago, we would have had you hanging upside down with a fork in your ass.
Yeah. Which is, in my mind, actually more offensive.
That is like taking all of the things that are encompassed in the N-word and making them explicit. Let me just unpack this word and all of the hatred that's involved in it, and I'll just spill it all out for you.
All the history, the violence.
Right.
The
me claiming to be of a superior race, you are of an inferior race, and we have every right to do like it. It really encompasses all of the awful that I can think of,
right?
In race relations, and yet, what stopped this was not, and what will stop future comedians from doing this was not any kind of law, any kind of penalty,
right?
It was the fact that we have not seen hide nor hair of Michael Richards since.
Right. He's been he's not allowed on TV, not because anybody's decreed it, but because anybody who has control over what gets to go on TV knows better.
Right. They would get letters.
Yeah. Society has said he is not welcome. And it's far more effective. I mean, this happened. He doesn't have an audience anymore.
Right.
Because nobody's going to give him that audience.
Right.
And in my mind, that is the way to handle this.
Or and maybe he gets, he does enough mea culpa. And, in our society can forgive people.
Sure.
If they, if they go through the process, and we have to see them go through the process, even if it's bullshit, even if they're not doing it.
Right.
But it's important to our society that they go through the whole thing and say, I'm so sorry, I was completely out of line, and here's why. And, if they show enough penance, we'll forgive them and let them back on TV or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe he's not funny enough to actually be forgiven all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
He had a good shtick on Seinfeld.
He did.
Then
he was great.
And I'm sure that made him enough money that if he just had half a brain, he's fine. He's just not on stage anymore. He's not performing.
Yeah. So the idea, I think that what we're getting at, I think that this is sort of the takeaway for me, is that the French approach, which is the governmental,
by and large, the European approach.
Maybe I don't know enough about that.
Other countries also have laws. I'm fairly confident that other countries have laws against Holocaust denial.
Yeah, Holocaust denial. That's why. I mean, and we have hate speech laws.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and you can't just
US.
there are clear lines that you can't cross with speech. You can't incite a riot.
Right.
And you can't, the classic example of you can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
You can't risk the public's actual immediate safety.
Right. I think that the question becomes, where do we draw this line? And that's where, and you and I aren't going to come to the answer of where we draw this line.
And we're not legal scholars.
This is just an exploration here. But I think one of the things that came to my mind was a study that was done back in the 50s. I heard about this on, I think it was Radiolab or This American Life or whatever. It was a study that was done that basically asked the question. It had the study participant didn't know that they were the participant. They thought they were helping to conduct the study, and they were given a machine that had switches, and one said 10 volts, and one said 100 volts, and one said 250, and it just went up and up and up. And then, someone in the room next to them was asked questions, and if they got it wrong, they were supposed to flip the switch and go up higher and higher in the switches. And the person in the next room would scream, and it was all about like how much are you willing to let your this subject suffer? Are you willing to throw the switch that says 1,000 volts?
Right.
And the person's been screaming every time you throw switches higher and higher.
Right.
Anyway, that was an interesting study in and of itself. But there was this side thing that they did where they looked at how they could they would try to, when people would refuse to throw the next switch, they tried to talk them into throwing the next switch and see what it was that would actually convince them to do it. And they had these different set things that they would say to the person to convince them to do it. And I don't remember the first one. I think the second one was something along the lines of, if you don't throw the switch, then the experiment is ruined, and we just have to discard it.
Over. Right.
Right. So there was this whole thing of like, you're hindering our science by doing this thing.
So it's just some social pressure.
Social pressure, right? And an appeal to science, an appeal to academia or something, some sense of how great that was.
Well, just the expectation of what their role was in the thing.
Right. But the last thing that they would say is, you must throw this switch.
Right.
You have to. And what's interesting is that the first two questions saw some efficacy. A percentage of people would succumb to question A and question B, or statement A and statement B.
And they would just try one of these, right?
They would go through. I think it was an escalating thing. They would try A, then they would
kind of,
or maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. But what was the fact was that no one ever saying you have to do this had zero efficacy.
Right.
Everybody said, well, hell I don't.
Well, yeah, because all of a sudden now you're posed with just the authority of it.
Right.
And
when there's an appeal to authority, people bristle.
Yeah.
People rebel instantly. Like that's their, when that's their first response.
Yeah.
Is, wait, what? You can't tell me.
Right.
So, to my mind, when the French government says, this guy is banned, this guy can't do this, it rallies a bunch of people who wouldn't even care, who wouldn't even rally.
It's a cause.
They don't even think about it now. They just jump on the cause.
Yeah.
Of free speech behind a guy who's saying awful things.
Right.
Instead of
incendiary things.
Right.
Risky, dangerous things.
And stupid things. Just wildly stupid.
Yeah.
Wildly stupid. And then these people are getting on board with it, not because they actually care about it, but because they've been told that it's not okay. They've been told that the authorities say you can't do this.
Right.
And they're going to just rebel against it.
Yeah, I mean, boy, you have to come down with quite the hammer to shut this down. And do you want to go that far?
Right.
Can you go that far? I mean, if this guy is, he just got fined a ton of money and now he's out there doing it again.
And he's more famous than ever.
Yeah. They made him more famous.
You and I would never have heard this guy's name.
Mm-mm. I would not have learned how to say Dieudonné.
Dieudonné. Anyway,
Mbala.
Mbala. I mean, that is fun.
Yeah.
I thank them for that. Yeah, so I mean, I think these are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves. When laws are written, when we ask ourselves as a society how to handle this sort of thing, I think that the clear winner is the social component.
Yeah. Because
how we engineer that, I don't know.
I don't know. That I don't know, because you have to just trust that over time it's something that happens over time. It's not like,
right,
that we woke up one day and it was saying the N-word was taboo.
Right.
It takes time.
It does take time.
And to legislate it is saying this is just the way that we want it to be, and so we're going to have it be this way today. Well, you didn't go through the process of it's the society that you want, but it's not necessarily the society that you have.
Yeah.
And so you've got to just work your system. I don't know how that.
I'll tell you what.
How does one society get to the point where it's just the people that do it,
right,
and whereas another society get to on the same issue, basically?
Well, the truth is, we are in the information age. I'm sorry, but a government can't shut down jack shit.
No, because he put a video up on YouTube.
The next day.
He wasn't allowed to perform. Well, guess what? He just got a bigger audience.
Right. So what needs to happen is that discussion needs to happen. We need other celebrities need to say, hey, guess what? What he's doing, it's bullshit, and here's why.
You rally the troops against him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of just shutting him down. Yeah, I know. It's bizarro to me.
It's all very strange.
And I will say that all of this with the caveat of, I don't understand the French.
I think what we're really getting at here, when we drill down to the heart of this discussion, is what the hell's up with the French? To quote Seinfeld, what's the deal with that? That's the worst Seinfeld. I do a terrible... I think my Seinfeld is closer to Don Knotts than Seinfeld. Andy, there's a guy in a barn. I don't know. A guy in a barn?
The French are saying things I shouldn't say, Andy.
Andy, get Aunt B. There's hatred in France. Make them a pie, Andy.
No, I mean, I say that caveat with, I mean, to really say there's how you can't judge from the outside. It is really hard. Yeah. We're not sitting in judgment of the French and what they're trying to do, but it just seems
we're not sitting in judgment much.
It just doesn't seem to be the most effective way in the world today with the with how does a free society censor in this day and age?
Right. Burning books is not the answer.
You don't have limited media outlets, and you can't lock up the owners of newspapers who are printing stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not going to contain it anymore.
All of the
information flows.
All of the information's out there. All of the bad information's out there, and all of the good information's out there. And the bad's probably more prevalent.
Yeah, I know.
We need to be looking for new things. So there you go.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have ideas on how we engineer the appropriate societal response to hate.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead and don't write to us with that. Actually, write to your congressman. If you've got a really good one, then write to somebody better than us.
Because also clearly, it's not like it's a complete bed of roses in this country either.
No,
as far as like everybody getting along.
No.
And I would hope that our conversation today wouldn't have confused our listeners to thinking that we think that America is just perfect in our...
we talk every week about somebody saying something like something idiotic.
But we're part of the mechanism to shut that down.
That's what we hope. All right. Well, go out there. Don't use the N-word. Don't sing songs about holocausts and pineapples.
No.
Although it's catchy. Show ananas.
No, it's really not catchy.
It's really not okay.
And it's not it's not a good song.
Stupid song and a stupid message. Okay. And we'll leave you with that.
All right. Well, if you'd like to chime in, you can send us an email to podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Right. Go to Facebook, read all about all of this stuff that we've just talked about and more at facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Or you could leave us a voicemail message at 424-666-8442.
Correct. There's also, I want to remind people that you can donate to our program and help us create more content that you can do by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support tab button.
As always, we do like to thank Mackenzie for all of her help online and the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
Have a good one, everybody. That was me stumbling over trying to say goodbye.
All right.
But I love you anyway, everybody.
And stumbling over me, too.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Bye-bye.